In the most dramatic fashion, the Boston Celtics have taken Game 1 in overtime, 133-128 over the Indiana Pacers. There was some ugly, there were some pretty plays, but overall there was a big question heading into this game, and that was whether or not the Celtics could become a real team in the clutch. They have not had a lot of tests this regular season. Granted, they had the best regular season record. They haven't had, as some would say, the biggest test in the postseason. Well, this was one of the first big tests for the Celtics where they did not get blown out and they did not blow out. They took this game into overtime. They took it down to the wire. It was shot for shot. It was ugly. It was pretty. I saw good. I saw bad. We're going to break down right here on Celtics Today by Chat Sports. I am your host, Allie Barefoot. And first things first, here is why you guys subscribe. You're going to get live reactions to buzzer beaters. You're going to get live reactions and play-by-play to the entire game from a fan. And we're live for every single Boston Celtics postseason game. And we put out videos about 5 to 6 times a week. This is your one-stop hub, the #1 channel on YouTube for the Boston Celtics. We have 29,000 subscribers, which we hit in Game 1. Thank you. The job's not finished. We're trying to get to 29,500. Hit that sub button, or we go ahead and break down the monstrous box score from the Boston Celtics starter. They did the damn thing. Tatum. 36 points. And at times, Smitty, you and I were saying, when is Tatum going to be that guy? When is Tatum going to play hero ball? And hero ball to me doesn't have to be a 3-ball. It has to be making that extra effort, making that extra play. And I'll give it to Tatum. He nailed a 3 in overtime. It was beautiful. 36 points, 12 boards, another double-double under his belt. 46% from the field, but still, the 3-ball is not falling, Smith.
Yeah, I mean, it consistently was not falling throughout the game. Like you mentioned, he hits that big one in overtime. But even before that, that what ended up being the dagger triple from Jayson Tatum, he realized he was 6'10", essentially, 235, 40 pounds, and he sees a smaller Andrew Nembhard on him, basically shakes him off after Andrew Nembhard's putting all his weight on him, shakes him off and gets an and one layup inside that kind of turns the tide of overtime. So, yes, we did speak about how Jayson Tatum was not particularly great down the stretch of the fourth quarter, but he damn sure showed up in overtime, and that's essentially when it mattered because his teammate, Jaylen Brown, saved the day late in the fourth quarter.
I can't tell you how proud I am of Jaylen Brown right now. And I did want to bring up this tweet just one more time here from the great Noah Dawes, who was at the game in TD Garden. She does fabulous reporting for the Celtics. Just to break down perfectly what JB did. In the last minute of regular time in this basketball game, Jaylen Brown went 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Like I said, he has not been known to go 2 for 2 from the free throw line. Do I want to talk about it? No. But then he makes the biggest defensive play. When I tell you he clamped up Siakam, he clamped up Siakam. The entire second half, but primarily on this last play, he forces it out of bounds off Siakam and then drains the game-tying shot deep in the corner in front of the Pacers bench, and they were all standing up. Not to mention, he also got fouled on that 3, but I'm not going to talk about that right now. Game-tying, and he kept that composure. It was a little too strong celebration, and then he came back. He played great defense, 2 steals in overtime. I cannot say enough great things about Jaylen Brown. He is my game ball recipient of this game.
I agree. I'm going to disagree with the game ball recipient.
Okay.
Because Jaylen Brown was, in fact, showing why he should have received some consideration for all defensive team. But you know who did receive consideration is Jrue Holiday, and he showed up on the opposite end tonight, obviously playing stalwart defense as well. But 28 points on 10 of 16 shooting.
Beautiful.
This is who Celtics fans wanted and thought Marcus Smart could be.
Yep.
This is why you deal away Marcus Smart and you make the eventual move and go get Jrue Holiday, because this is the guy the Celtics needed, somebody who makes sound decisions and plays that insane effort level of defense on the other end. So he's strong on the inside. He's getting a ton of layups down low just by using his body. And then he's hitting the three-pointer at a high clip as well. You know, obviously he shot 60% from the corner in the regular season. He shoots 50%, and a lot of those coming from the wing and the corner tonight. Jrue Holiday, Jayson Tatum, and Jaylen Brown wholeheartedly carry the Celtics offense.
Not to mention a season high for Jrue Holiday. He was dominant on defense. I want to point out one play in particular in overtime where he clamped up Tyrese Haliburton. He had that hand on his hip the entire time. Haliburton taking the ball up. He forces Haliburton's own turnover out of bounds, which put the transition the other way. And I think that was the last time I saw Haliburton have any type of hope in this ball game. But Haliburton's a good player, man. And let me tell you, I definitely think this game could go to 6. I do not think this will be a sweep in any mind. The Pacers are the real deal. They really are.
Yeah,
and I understand they just beat the Knicks who are injured, and a lot of Knicks fans or stats will show that, yeah, it's a little easier to beat the Knicks when they're injured like that. But the Pacers deserve the credit, and I'll give credit where it's due. 25 points here for Haliburton. This kid had 2 buzzer beaters. I mean, he can shoot from anywhere. On top of that, a double-double, 10 assists as well. His court vision's great. I mean, they were making phenomenal plays, especially down low to Myles Turner, who I didn't see as much.
Down the stretch, but in the beginning of the game where the Pacers were really hanging around and kind of answering every Celtics run, Myles Turner was there.
But
we're talking about down the stretch of the ballgame where the Pacers looked like they were going to win the damn thing. Haliburton was hitting shot after shot after shot and getting himself open, creating space for himself off the dribble. He was fantastic down the stretch. Just couldn't get it to go in the overtime period. The Celtics decided to defend him, defended very much up on him and didn't let him get any clean looks off, and that's what ended up being the difference in this game.
I mean, of course, you got several other scores here for the Indiana Pacers, but in my mind, it really is just Turner and Haliburton that are going to continuously give you these type of numbers. Siakam on offense.
They were letting him get to his spot too much.
Way too much. Siakam.
In the mid-range, he's great.
I wasn't a fan of how they defended Myles Turner because when I say defended, there was lack of. Myles Turner had his way. He could shoot anything he wanted tonight. I'm not a huge fan of that. I definitely want to see better moving forward. Siakam, he had a lot of upper hands here on Al Horford, and I do get it, obviously being the older player that Al Horford is, but Horford also had his number. And then Jaylen Brown, of course, had his number. So Siakam may or may not put up 24 points again against the Celtics. We'll just have to wait and see, but I'm not necessarily worried about Siakam having this type of game again. I'm mainly worried about Turner and Haliburton, who are going to consistently be a problem throughout this series for the Celtics.
Agreed. Like you mentioned, Jaylen Brown with those two, making Siakam knock it out of bounds, and then that steal down the stretch in those closing seconds of overtime. I thought was fantastic. But it was mostly defense, which it was improved upon in the fourth quarter and overtime. But you kept letting the Pacers get back into it. I think that's what Boston has to improve on in Game 2. What do you guys think?
Go on ahead, comment that down below, your improvements for the Boston Celtics in Game 2, because believe me, this was not picture perfect. There are several things the Celtics can do better moving forward, especially because this is going to be a long series.
Quickly before we talk about our friends, let's go over the Celtics stats versus the Pacers here and just roll through these because they were staggering at the halftime break. Let's see how it all ended up. Boston, 30 assists on 47 made baskets. I like it. They shot not great from three-point line, to be quite honest, because if you look at the Pacers, they shot a staggering 37%, 54% from the field.
Yep.
This is what we've been seeing from Indiana so far in this postseason, just shooting the ball at an incredibly high clip, and it continued in Game 1.
Yep, we took 10 more shots from downtown than the Pacers did, and we only made 2 more three-pointers than the Pacers did. So we know the Pacers are the best scoring team in the NBA. Obviously, they have lethal shooters as well, but that means you got 2 all-defensive NBA backcourt in the Boston Celtics. I need to keep seeing it. I need to see defense down low. Overall, this was a test, but I still definitely believe the Celtics to be able to take the Indiana Pacers. We're going to be breaking down a huge added benefit here for the Boston Celtics moving forward in this series. But before we go on ahead and get into that, I do want to tell you guys about our sponsor here on Celtics Today. Of course, I'm talking about Prize Picks, the #1 daily fantasy sports app in America. There is a reason why I play this every single game day. It's so much fun. It is so easy to play. All you got to do is pick more or less on a player's projected stats, and you can win up to 100 times your money with as little as 4 correct picks. Because this game went to overtime, I never take the less, man. It's just a personal thing, and here's why. I just never take the less. Haliburton, of course, had more than 9 three-point attempts. Jaylen Brown, way more than 16.5 points, 10 more. Jayson Tatum, more than 10 boards. He had 13. Beautiful. I was this close to winning, but I took the less on Tyrese Haliburton. Test your skills for Game 2 at PrizePicks right now. Go to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use that promo code CLNS for a first-time deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It is truly that easy to watch yourself win some real money in real time. Let's talk about Tingus Pingus, shall we? We did have an injury update here on Porzingis, as we did know on Friday from ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski. He will miss Game 1 and Game 2 of the series, but Woj had a more recent update ahead of Game 1 here against the Pacers. Here's what Woj said on NBA Today, ESPN's Adrian Wojnarowski, when this series returns to Indiana, which would be Game 3 and Game 4, I'm told that Porzingis could return as soon as Game 4 on Monday. He's progressing, and there is momentum that he will return. This is what the inside source is saying right now on KP. The latest update we have had here from Celtics insiders was that KP went through a vigorous cycle type of rehab on Sunday while the Celtics were getting shots up during that Game 7 performance. But Game 4 will have been around a month that Kristaps Porzingis has missed. And for a little bit of perspective here, he had the exact same injury as Giannis Antetokounmpo, who missed the first round of the NBA playoffs. And even after the series was done, he said, I was nowhere close to returning. And that was a month after he got injured. So KP is recovering very well, but the last thing we want to do is re-aggravate it. And plus, I said this before we ever played the Pacers in this series, that I would not play Porzingis unless they go down in the series, but now I might bite my tongue. I love Horford, man. I love him. He's just great on defense and on offense, but he's not Tingus. He's not KP. Myles Turner was a problem. He could shoot from anywhere on the floor. I mean, he was shooting about 70% from the field and even better from a three-point line, and his length was really an asset here down low. You need Porzingis. And I do think that whether or not this is in Game 4, I do think that at some point you bring Porzingis back in this series before heading on to the NBA Finals, if that does happen. But now knowing what Woj said, KP could definitely come back in Game 4 in Indiana, or if the Celtics do just want to wait a little bit longer pending his rehab, he could always come back in Game 5 if needed back here in TD Garden. What do you guys think, though? Do you think the Celtics need Kristaps Porzingis to beat the Pacers? They just went to overtime without KP. Al Horford did a good job, but like I said, he's not 7'3" Tingus Pingus. Type Y for yes, type in for no if you guys think KP should be back on the court with the Celtics because they need him. Go ahead and comment down below. While you're at it, hit that sub button for me. Our journey to 29,500 subscribers starts today. Thank you to everybody that subscribed so far, but we're not done. You want to be a part of the journey, hit that sub button, and let's go.